Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we're the Castles.
We bring you the news.
The views that make you think.
Well, sometimes we agree.
Sometimes we don't.
This is News and Views.
And here are today's headlines.
President Bongbong Marcos has announced the launch of the service contracting program on April 15, aimed at increasing driver income and reducing commuter costs.
More PUV drivers outside Metro Manila are now receiving ayuda as the government continues its aid rollout amid rising fuel costs.
A slight relief may be on the way for motorists as fuel prices are expected to roll back next week. But by how much?
Vice President Sara Duterte took a swipe at President Bongbong Marcos over the burden of rising fuel prices and the government's response to the crisis.
First in the news, the distribution of cash assistance for tricycle drivers outside Metro Manila continues as authorities step up relief efforts amid rising fuel costs. Let's get the latest from Mobile Journal. Jazz Paredes in Antipolo, Rizal. Jazz, what's going on?
Diego, Angela, patuloy yung pabibigay ng 5,000 fuel subsidy para sa tricycle drivers dito sa Antipolo City at nagsimula yan kaninang alas 7 ng umaga. And as of now, kung makikita nyo, Diego and Angela, pakita ko sa inyo yung sitwasyon sa aking likuran, ay marami pa ring tao or marami pa ring tricycle drivers na nag-iintay na makakuha ng kanilang subsidy sa araw na ito. At actually, Diego and Angela, yung kanilang schedule ngayon ay merong interval. So merong 7 a.m., merong 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. So kung ikukumpara natin doon sa naunang batch or sa unang schedule, before 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. yung mga nakatakdang schedule. And for now, ginawa daw nila is iniklian nila yung interval ng mga schedule at iniklian din yung oras ng payout. Dahil dun sa una, yung pilot testing nila, nakita nila na mabilis naman daw yung proseso. So pwedeng paikligin yung interval para mas marami yung makatanggap in a short period of time. And sa ngayon, Diego and Angela, makikita natin, meron pa rin mga ilang paparating during this time. At dito sa aking likuran, meron ditong pila, pero hindi ito para sa pila para makukuha ng fuel subsidy. Tanongin natin sila kung para saan ito, Diego and Angela. Sir, hello po. Magandang umaga po. Nakita ko po na nakapila kayo dito sa side na ito ng help desk. Ano pong rason, sir?
Mali daw po yung yung requirements namin na pinipirmahan. Na kailangan 3 perma lang daw pala.
So ano to, sir? Para sa photocopy?
Opo, sa license po.
Sir, bakit po mahalaga sa inyo na makuha itong ating subsidy ngayong araw?
Para din po sa makatulong sa gasolina po. Kasi ang mahal ng gasolina natin ngayon.
Talagang kailangan na rin magtipid, sir, no?
Opo.
Higpit sunturon na rin po ba tayo ngayon, sir? Ayan, Angela. So, narinig natin, no? Actually, Angela, atong nakita nating pila nito, actually, mas dito pa raw sila tumatagal dahil nga mahaba yung pila para doon sa photocopy bago sila makapunta dito sa kabilang side sa mga cashier para makakuha ng kanilang 5,000 subsidy sa kanilang mga paymaster. And yung mga nakikita nating nasa dulo ng pila, mga kararating lang nila. And sa mga nakausap natin kanina, halos wala pa daw 1 oras yung kanilang inaantay para makuha yung kanilang subsidy dahil nga mabilis yung naging proseso. 2 days before, na-notify na sila via text message kung ano yung kanilang schedule, ano yung kanilang cashier. Para pagpunta nila dito ay pipila na lamang sila at doon na mismo sa kanilang paymaster yung last step of verification to check kung tama ba yung kanilang pangalan doon sa listahan na naka-indicate doon. And imbes na dito na sa help desk, yung kanilang pagkuha ng certificate of oneness ng unang batch, minove na rin daw doon sa unahan sa paymaster yung pagkuha para daw mas mapabilis yung proseso, Diego and Angela.
Mukhang mas madaming tao ngayon kaysa the other day. Nag-iba ba sila ng process or it's the same? Kasi parang last time, nandun lang sila pumila para sa releasing lang. Parang titignan lang yung license releasing. Ngayon, may pila na para ipa-verify yung license. Tama ba?
Yes, Angelo. No, actually, this time, same pa rin naman yung process. Kaya lang mas marami ngayon dahil dumami din yung kanilang in-schedule. Noong first, Diego, ay 2,000 lamang. And this time is 3,000 na yung kanilang makakatanggap ng fuel subsidy. At dahil kaya dumami yan, Diego, kasi nung first ay parang pilot testing, kumbaga tinitignan muna nila kung paano ba, kung dadami ba or magkakapila. Nung nakita raw nila na maikli naman ang proseso and hindi naman ay ipon yung volume ng tao, nag-try sila magdagdag ng another 1,000 na katao para this time ay hindi na kagaya nung last time na halos
Yes,
wala ng
oo.
tao, 10 a.m. pa lang. And actually, Diego, no, itong nakikita nyo sa aking likuran ay ito lamang yung isa sa venue. So, second floor to and meron pa sa first floor. So yung first floor ay meron dong 6 na cashiers, mas konti and mas maliit yung room. Pero dito mas marami, nasa 9 yung cashiers natin kaya mas marami rin yung expected na tao or mas maraming tricycle drivers na kumukuha dito. Diego.
Just, I've seen some posts sa social media sa mga ibang driver, no, na nagsasabi na na-miss nila yung appointment nila. If you miss your appointment, what can you do? Do you just go sa venue or maghihintay ka ulit ng panibagong message?
Yes, Diego, no. At tinanong din natin yan kanina sa DSWD kung paano nga ba yung mga hindi nakaabot or hindi nakapunta doon sa kanilang dedicated schedule. And ang sabi nila sa atin ay magkakaroon daw ng special payout para doon sa mga hindi nakakuha or yung sa mga hinahabol sa lista. At hindi sila pwedeng ihalo nga dito sa mga naka-schedule na prior dahil nga kumbaga naka-plano na or naka-align na yung ito yung nandito natin is letters B, EL yung nagsisimula ng apelido and CU hanggang CUR, pero hindi sila pwedeng i-insert or isama doon sa mga susunod pa. Mag-antay na lamang daw ng susunod na schedule, pero most probably, Diego, no, after pa ito nung last na schedule. Dito, April 20 yung last, so most probably beyond April 20 pa yung nakalaan para doon sa mga hindi nakakuha ngayon or sa mga susunod pa na payout, Diego.
Okay, so hanggang April 20 yan. Pero sa ngayon ba, have we encountered delays or mga reklamo tungkol doon sa wala sila sa database? Di ba yung mga nagpunta ng maaga dyan? May mga ganong reklamo din kasi yesterday.
Yes, Angela, no. Actually, dito nagtanong-tanong tayo and so far wala naman tayong na-receive na complaints na wala yung kanilang pangalan sa listahan. And kaya yan naiwasan, Angela, no, ay dahil nga yung mga nagpunta lamang dito ay yung naka-receive lang ng kanilang text message na ngayon yung kanilang schedule. Although may ilan, Angela, no, na hindi nakalista na nagpunta today, ay dahil daw wala silang cellphone. So hindi nila na-check sa text message kung sila ba ay nakalista. Pero meron naman daw nakapost sa Facebook page kung sino yung mga kukuha ngayong araw. Although syempre yung iba nating mga kababayan ay wala naman silang Facebook or wala silang connection sa internet, walang cellphone. Pagpunta dito, inabisuhan sila na hindi sila makakuha dahil hindi nakaschedule and binigay na rin sa kanila yung schedule ng kanilang pagpunta para hindi rin masayang. Although hindi sila nakakuha ngayong araw, at least sa susunod na punta nila, sure na sila na ngayon yun yung araw na pupunta sila, Angela.
Siguro dapat gano'n na lang ayusin ng LGU ng Antipolo yun na while it's okay, mas mabilis na automatic, may mga listahan online or tinetext sila, dapat meron pa rin silang mga listahan na pupwede doon sa mga tricycle drivers na wala namang kakayahan na tumingin, di ba, sa cellphone dahil wala silang cellphone in the first place.
Sabi ba niya online, pwede tignan online?
Ano daw, mini-message sila.
Paano kung walang access sa online or
Pupunta dyan,
may
kanina
physical,
sinabi niya.
okay, so may
pupunta
physical
dyan.
list. Nililinaw lang para sa mga kababayan natin yun.
Alright.
Alright, thank you for that. Mobile Journal, Jazz Paredes reporting live.
Motorcycle taxi riders are now receiving much-needed cash aid amid rising fuel costs. We now get updates from our Mobile Journal, Arles de los Santos, reporting live from Taguig. Arles, kumusta ang distribution dyan?
Angela at Diego, mataas ang sikat ng araw dito pero makikita ninyo naman may malaking tent para nga umalalay sa ating mga kapatid na motorcycle taxi riders. No? At kabukod dyan, pwede pa rin humabol yung mga delivery riders na supposedly ay nakatakdang makatanggap nga kahapon. No? Akala daw kasi ng ilan hindi magkakaroon ng programa or ng payout dahil holiday. Pero hindi raw nagkaroon ng pagbabago sa kanilang schedule at as usual and as planned naman yung kanilang pamamahagi ng mga ayuda. No? Naiintindihan daw ng lokal na pamahalaan ng LTFRB, higit lalo at ng DSWD yung kagyat nga na pangangailangan ng ating mga kapatid na tsuper. Kaya naman aabot sa 3,250 na motorcycle taxi riders pa lamang yan, no? Ang nakatakdang makatanggap ng ayuda ngayong araw dito sa Taguig. No? Kanya-kanyang diskarte yung mga tsuper para makakuha ng kanilang payout. No? Nagkaroon tayo dito, Angela, ng nakita mismo, no, na isang taxi rider, motorcycle taxi rider na bit-bit mismo yung kanyang 3 anak. No? Ang nangyayari pala kasi set up nila ng kanyang asawa sa gabi ay siya ang babiyahe and then uuwi siya ng madaling araw and then pagkatapos noon, pagdating ng office hours naman ay magtatrabaho yung kanyang asawa kaya ngayon daw wala ngang magbabantay sa kanilang mga anak kaya isinama na lamang nila rito. Makikita nyo sa aking likuran, medyo malinis at kaunti na yung tao pero kapag pumihit tayo dito ng konti, nandito yung hindi bababa sa 20 mga taga-validate mula sa DSWD. So kailangan lang as usual ipresenta yung kanilang mga lisensya, yung photocopy nito, yung 3 wet signature at yung kanilang phone number. At kung sakali naman na wala sila sa listahan o hindi pa sila verified, ay kakailanganin lamang nilang pumunta doon sa siguro ilang metrong lakad din yon, doon sa tinatawag nilang Mercado de Lago kung saan naman nakapwesto doon yung LTFRB para sakali na wala talaga sila sa listahan, kahit i-double check doon ay makakapag-register na sila agad-agad. Though yung ilan na nakausap natin, Angela at Diego, last month pa, parang 2 or 3 weeks ago na daw na nagpasa or nagsumite ng kanilang mga pangalan at requirement pero pagpunta dito ay wala pa rin yung kanilang mga pangalan. Pero giit naman ng lokal na pamahalaan ng Taguig, hindi sila yung nagkulang dito sa kawalan ng kanilang mga pangalan, kundi yung kanilang mga kumpanya mismo na nagpapasa naman sa LTFRB at yung LTFRB naman ay ibinibigay sa DSWD at sa mga local government unit para i-facilitate yung pagre-release ng mga ayuda.
Arles, ano yung patakaran sa mga nagkaroon ng emergency? Pwede ba magpadala ng letter of authority tapos yung asawa or yung kapatid ang ipapunta dyan or kailangan in person mismo?
Diego, the last time we check, kailangan in person talaga. Kasi yung pag-validate pa lamang at yung presenta ng iyong ID ay kailangan ikaw mismo But we will double check kung nagkaroon din ba ng adjustments for that. Kasi kanina may mga nakita rin tayong senior citizen and we're hoping na syempre sa init ng panahon baka may ilan na sinumpong o 'di ba nakaramdam ng kanilang mga sakit and we don't want that to happen. But we will double check At sa yung kagaya ng kahapon, yung ilan daw na hindi nakakuha ng payout, pwede pa rin naman ngayon. At kung hindi nga man ngayon, aabangan natin kung magkakaroon pa ng special payout para sa kanila. Nang sa gayon, masunod nga yung tagubilin ng LTFRB at ng administrasyon mismo ni Pangulong Marcos na mabigyan ang lahat ng tsuper para alalayan sa patuloy na pagsirit ng presyo ng petrolyo.
Alright, thank you so much. That was our mobile journal, Arles de los Santos.
With rising fuel costs continuing to impact the transport sector, the government is launching its service contracting program to support drivers and commuters. Here's the report.
A radio warning from the Iranian Navy is now being picked up by ships passing through the Persian Gulf.
This is Iranian Sepan Navy Station. You need to receive permission from Iranian Sepan Navy for passing through the strait. Any vessel trying to transit in through the strait without our permission will be targeted and destroyed.
This is the message being received by ship radios in the area. Vessels are being barred from passing through the Strait of Hormuz with threats of force if they ignore the order. Filipino seafarers also captured images of missiles flying across the sky while in the Persian Gulf. These developments come despite a ceasefire announcement between the United States and Iran.
Medyo nakakatakot kasi kahapon meron ng pronouncement, yesterday may pronouncement na about ceasefire. Pero in reality, on the ground, iba yung nangyayari doon. Meron pa ring mga missiles, especially sa Lebanon, sa Kuwait, sa UAE, na naglalabasan pa rin at nagliliparan, which is right now, it's a risk really for seafarers.
Amid these tensions, global oil prices have slightly increased, but despite this, a fuel price rollback is still possible next week. But transport groups are not convinced.
Pangloloko na naman ito sa mga tsuper, sa taong bayan, na ang laki nung ibinaba sa world market. Nagbaba na sir So dapat, dati kapag may forecast na may gulo, yung pangalawang araw pa lang nagtataas na sila ng presyo. Pero ngayon nagsabi na bumaba, ayaw naman nilang magbaba. Yung pagbaba na yan sir, parang parang masama pa yung loob ng mga oil companies.
As this unfolds, the government is rolling out additional support. President Bongbong announced the start of the service contracting program on April 15.
Sa ilalim ng programang ito, babayaran namin ang ating mga operator at driver ng mula 40 pesos hanggang 100 piso kada kilometro. Dagdag ito sa kanilang kita mula sa pamasahe.
Passengers will also get at least a 20% discount. The program will cover routes connected to train lines and major bus corridors. It is expected to benefit around 50,000 public utility vehicles and up to 15 million passengers.
Lahat ng sasali ay may GPS monitoring para naman matiyak na aktwal ang biyahe at maayos ang serbisyo. Patuloy ang biyahe, patuloy ang hanap buhay.
On top of this, a fuel subsidy will also be provided.
Ang fuel subsidy ay ipapatupad lamang sa mga lehitimong gasoline station na aprobado at minomonitor ng Department of Energy upang masigurong mapupunta ito sa tama at hindi ito maabuso.
Implementation will begin in Metro Manila, covering areas such as Commonwealth, Quezon Avenue, Espana, Zapote, A. Bonifacio, Rizal Avenue, and Marcos Highway before expanding nationwide.
Mahalaga ito dahil hindi lang transport cost ang tinutugunan natin. Pinipigilan din natin ang pagtaas ng presyo ng pagkain at iba pang pangunahing bilihin.
Joining us now is Manibela Chairman Mar Valbuena himself. Good morning.
Good morning, Ma'am Angela and Sir Angelo. Good morning po sa ating mga kababayan.
Right, so ito po, ano po ang inyong tugon or reaksyon dito sa sinasabing i-implement po na service contracting para po sa mga PUVs by April 15? Ito po ba ay sapat para po sa inyo?
Unang-una, Ma'am Angela, 15,000 lang yata ang makakasama doon sa service contracting na ito. So, halos 280,000 na PUVs nationwide. Hindi pa kasama dito yung TNBS, taxi, mga tourists, mga truckers, mga jeepney lamang po ito at saka UB Express yata. So, kulang na kulang po itong pag-implement ng programa dahil ilan lang po ang makakasama. Una, doon sa net service contracting, may 20% to 40% yata na discount. Yung idadagdag po sa amin na 40 to 100 pesos po kada biyahe o kada kilometro. Hindi pa nga sigurado kung 40, 100. Hindi po yata tama yung figures na ibinibigay sa atin. Alin ba doon? So napakalayo, 40 doon sa 60, doon sa 100%. Ang yung ibibigay sa amin na net service contracting, ililes din doon sa pamasahe ng pasahero. Kung 16 na pasahero po ito, doon sa 20% na lang, 2 pesos to 250 pesos ang 2.50 o 2.50 po ang mawawala kada pasahero. So 32 pesos na po ito na mawawala doon sa discount. I-compare mo kung 40 pesos po ito kada kilometro, Ma'am Angela, malaki pa rin yung mababawas sa amin. So makikinabang lang talaga sa service contracting na to, yun po talagang mga pasahero lamang at hindi po yung mga drivers.
Pero bakit
Dapat nangangailangan po sana nitong programa na ito.
Pero what about po yung fuel subsidy na kasabay po nitong contract service na gagawin nila na 10 pesos ang ibibigay, 'di ba, per 100 kilometers if I'm not mistaken. Parang overall for 1 week, merong 150, 'di ba, per liter ang kumbaga parang ang isa-subsidize nila sa inyo.
Opo, that is around 1,500 pesos sa loob ng isang linggo. At parang singhap-singhap po yung programa na ibinibigay po sa atin ng gobyerno. Kung magkakarga kami ng 20 to 30 liters, that is around 300 pesos po. Kahit papaano, malaki-laki na rin po ito na madadagdag sana. Pero yung taas po ng presyo ng petrolyo, malayo po doon sa diskwento o subsidy na ibinibigay sa atin. Kaya nga po ang panawagan ko nung Wednesday, at least yung 80 pesos ang i-shoulder po or 50 pesos ang i-shoulder ng ating gobyerno. At kasama po yung rollback sana, malaking bagay po ito. Pero yung 10 pesos po talagang pahirapan pa po ito at depende pa sa gasolinahan.
Kasi kumbaga parang kung halimbawa ang isang linggo ninyong paggasolina 15,000 minus 1.5 lang yun 'di ba?
Opo,
So
ganun po kalaki
13.5
yun.
pa rin yung gasolina na ibubuno nyo.
Talaga pong makikinabang lang talaga dito, Ma'am Angela, Sir Angelo, yung mga gasolinahan at yung mga kababayan talaga natin na mga tsuper. Mahirap po talagang makakuha ng tulong sa gobyerno. Isipin po ninyo yung 20 to 40% na discount. Imbis po na ibigay ito sa mga driver para discount sa gasolinahan, ang binigyan po ng discount yung commuter. Kaya ang tanong po namin, yung jeep na po ba ang sumasakay sa mga pasahero sa commuter na bakit yung pasahero ang bibigyan mo, kami po ang kumukonsumo. Hindi na nga po nagtaas ng pamasahe, binigyan pa sila ng discount. Nag-iisip po ba ang gobyerno dito sa mga programa na makakatulong po talaga sa pampublikong transportasyon? Uulitin ko po, driver po dapat ang bigyan ng discount na 40% sa mga gasolinahan at hindi po ang mga pasahero. Dahil ang mga pasahero po ang sumasakay sa jeepney at hindi po yung jeepney UB Express ang sumasakay sa pasahero.
Yan ang gusto ko itanong sa iyo, Mar, kasi ang dami naglalabasan suggestion tsaka mga programa na ilalabas na pag i-compute mo, oo, pag titignan mo may discount, may subsidy, pero pagka-compute mo, kasi sinubukan ko yan i-compute yung take home ng jeepney driver umaangat lang ng 3 to 4 pesos per day. Parang hindi rin sapat ito. Di ba nagko-coordinate sa inyo na kung ano dapat ang gawin or at least kumuha ng suggestion sa hanay nyo?
Wala pong communication sa atin pagdating po sa paglalatag at pagresolba ng problema na ito, Sir Angelo. Sila lang po ang nag-uusap-usap, may sariling mundo itong mga nakaupo sa gobyerno na hindi po nakikita yung paghihirap talaga, yung pinapasan on the grounds ng ating mga jeepney drivers, ng mga UB Express drivers, lahat ng drivers po na apektado po dito sa krisis na ito. Wala talagang coordination at hindi po namin malaman kung bakit po napag-iiwanan tayo pagdating po doon sa mga pagpaplano.
Ang tanong dito, Mar, how much longer na kaya tiisin ng mga jeepney driver natin ang nangyayari? Because kung umabot sa punto na negative na ang take-home pay nyo, hindi na siguro feasible kung mabiyahe pa.
Marami na po ang hindi nakatiis. Yun po ang sagot namin. Kaya po maraming stranded na pasahero. Marami na ang hindi nakatiis dito sa mabagal at sisinghap-singhap na aksyon ng ating gobyerno. Totally, wala talagang aksyon. Wala talaga. Nakikita natin, magmula doon sa ayuda na sinensationalize nila, marami ang hindi nabigyan hanggang sa ngayon. May mga special, kung bakit may mga special payout, doon po nakikita na palpak po talaga yung pag-roll out nila nitong mga programa na to na makakatulong sana sa mga tsuper. Yung sinasabi po natin, i-involve nyo po kami kasi kami ang nakakaalam doon sa ground. Kung nandiyan lang kayo sa opisina ninyo at di naman talaga kayo nakakaranas ng hirap, mahirap po talaga.
Ito pong napipintong sakasakali po na oil price rollback dahil daw po dito sa 2-week ceasefire ng dalawang panig sa Amerika at saka ang Iran. Pabor po ba kayo dito sa sinabi nilang presyo kung magkano mumura lang? At saka doon po sa sinasabi niyo po kanina na 15K lang po na mga 15,000 na units ang mabibigyan nitong under this program. Sino daw? Paano yung mapipili?
Ang sabi po sa atin, Ma'am Angela, sila ang pipili doon sa mga connecting routes katulad ng malapit sa MRT, malapit sa mga bus terminals. Yun po yung bibigyan lamang nila. So yung mga wala talagang ruta sa mga ganung lugar, hindi po mabibigyan talaga. Ang sabi sa atin nung Tuesday or Wednesday, kung di po ako nagkakamali, na may meeting kami dito sa na iparating lang sa atin na 700 routes lang yata yung mabibigyan. At ang tanong pa doon, gaano kahaba, gaano katagal itong programa na ito, baka 5 araw lang. Yung sinasabi nila, tapos 3 pesos lang per day ang madadagdag po nakita namin.
Tsaka off-peak hours, diba?
Yun pong rollback naman na sinasabi natin, pagputok ng giyera after 2 days,
tumaas na.
Nag-increase na ng 25 to 30 pesos ang mga oil companies. Ngayon na nagdeklara ng ceasefire at bumaba ng $20, halos $20 per liter, kung i-compute mo po yan, 1,500 po sa isang bariles.
at i-divide po ito sa 60 liters, nasa 20 pesos po dapat ang rollback kada litro ng petrolyo. Depende pa po yan kung sa crudo pa lamang po yung kinocompute natin, Ma'am Angela. Wala pa rito yung emergency power na nagdideklara ng pag-suspend sa excise tax. Kung pagsasama-samahin po lahat ito, kung may isip po talaga itong mga policy maker natin, malaki na po sana ang ibinaba o mapapakinabangan na maiibsan itong krisis na to ng mga tsuper. Kaya lang ho, wala po. Yung mga economic managers po ng ating gobyerno, hindi naman po ata economics ang pinag-aralan nitong mga to, at mahirap po talaga kung wala ka sa ground at hindi mo po nararamdaman yung hinagpis o panaghoy ng ating mga kasamahang tsuper.
Ito, lastly and quickly lang, Mar. Ito, pagkakataon, baka ngayon, may nakikinig ngayon sa programa natin, nanonood. Anong panawagan mo sa gobyerno?
Maglagay po kayo ng mga tamang tao na makakapagbigay ng tamang impormasyon sa ating Pangulo. Hindi po yung kung ano-anong pakulo ang binibigay sa ating Pangulo, na ang ating Pangulo naman ang bilis paniwalaan itong kanyang mga nasa gabinete. Sana ho, tugunan yung krisis, aksyonan ng mabilis at efficient, na hindi po dapat pinagtatagal pa.
Alright, thank you for your time, Manibela Chairman Mar Valbuena, for joining us.
Maraming salamat po.
We'll be back.
Parang sinasabi
sorry.
sinasabi dun sa report na nabasa ko na parang pilot testing pa lang. Unahin muna yung mga ruta na yun. That's why siguro 15,000 pa lang.
Unit.
Pero syempre, yun nga, ang hirap naman mag-antay for others.
Hindi, kasi usually ang pilot testing daw nila is 2 to 3 weeks. Pero by that time, magkano na nawala sa mga 50% na ang jeepney driver, sabi ni Mar in previous interviews as well, na hindi na bumabiyahe. Diba? Sabi nila, napupuno naman yung mga jeep ngayon. Oo, napupuno yung mga jeep
half
kasi
of the fleet,
wala.
hindi na
So
bumabiyahe.
nag-aagawan ng tao sa isang jeepney. Ay nako.
Alright, we'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. Good morning. You're still watching News and Views here on One News.
President Bongbong Marcos has officially appointed Dita Angara Matay as the new Secretary of the Department of Tourism. The palace says the move aims to sync tourism with national economic growth to drive investments and support local industries. Malacanang emphasized that the goal is to ensure tourism benefits are felt in every region across the country. Well, matagal na tong napipintong appointment. It was several names were floated. We were unsure kung sino yung papalit. But medyong matalas din yung statement to ensure that tourism is felt in every region. So is that tantamount to saying that tourism wasn't felt?
Yeah, because that was the critics have said before, because yung mga sinabi about the former tourism secretary. But itong si Angara Matay is a seasoned public servant. Yun ang sinabi ng Malacanang, who will bring in her decades of experience in trade, investment, and international economic engagement. So, kumbaga parang itong appointment daw niya will reflect the administration's push to the position of tourism not only as a cultural showcase, but of course, strong driver of jobs, businesses, and regional development.
Kasi there's no ifs and buts. Talagang bumaba ang tourism in the past. Ang pumalo ang tourism in a certain in the Siargao area dun lang. Pero nawalan tayo sa Boracay, nawalan in every other province. So, hindi tulad yung mga before or pre-Duterte and during Duterte time, medyo okay ang tourism
Then they will
natin.
have to do something about na bakit mas mahal pa yung natin, ito yung mga tourism spots natin dito, pumunta dito sa
airline,
Siargao, 'di ba, sa Cebu, sa iba't
Alam mo
iba.
ba
As compared sa pumunta ka sa Hong Kong, sa
Alam mo,
Singapore.
ang flight to Davao can be more expensive than a flight to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Can be,
But of course, syempre ngayon talaga you will expect ang tourism natin mababa because of what's happening, 'di ba, sa Middle East. But deadly airstrikes in Lebanon have left hundreds dead, triggering global condemnation and raising fears of a wider regional conflict. Here is a report.
First responders continued search and rescue operations through the night in Beirut, Lebanon, as they combed through the rubble for survivors following deadly Israeli airstrikes. Lebanon's health ministry says at least 203 people were killed, while more than 1,000 others were injured in the widespread attacks. U.S. President Donald Trump said Lebanon was excluded from a recently agreed ceasefire between the United States, Israel, and Iran, pointing to the presence of the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah as a key reason. Lebanon's prime minister has announced plans to file a formal complaint before the United Nations in response to the intensified Israeli strikes. The European Union has strongly condemned the attacks in southern Lebanon, warning that escalating violence along the border could spark a broader regional conflict. The bloc also called for a maximum restraint from all sides and urged full respect for international humanitarian law, particularly the protection of civilians.
We firmly condemn the recent attacks launched by Israel against Lebanon, which have caused a large number of casualties among the civil population and extensive destruction of civilian infrastructure. Such actions represent a very serious escalation and an unacceptable threat to civilian lives and regional stability.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, in a video statement, said Israel would continue its strikes against Hezbollah until security is restored in the northern Israel. He added that he has authorized direct negotiations with Lebanon aimed at disarming Hezbollah and eventually establishing formal relations between the two countries. For its part, the United Nations said it welcomes any direct talks between Israel and Lebanon.
We obviously would welcome any direct negotiations between Israel and Lebanon for the sake of both Israelis and Lebanese. And as we've been saying, there is no military solution to this conflict, and we hope the road to diplomacy will be taken.
A slight relief may be coming to motorists next week as fuel prices are expected to drop despite renewed tensions in the Middle East. Industry estimates show that diesel may see a rollback of 2 pesos and 50 centavos to 3 pesos and 50 centavos per liter, while gasoline could decrease by around 1 peso per liter or remain unchanged. However, analysts warn that the ongoing conflict in the Persian Gulf, which has already sent missiles over key shipping lanes, could still affect global oil flows and final price adjustments. Industry sources also note that the rollback could end up smaller if market volatility persists in the remaining trading days.
Joining us now is Professor Ronilo Balberan, economist at the University of Asia and the Pacific, to break down the impact of oil price movements, global tensions, and currency pressures on the Philippine economy. Magandang umaga po sa inyo. Thank you again for joining us.
Magandang umaga po.
Okay, so how significant is this expected fuel price rollback for the overall economy? Meron ba itong mararamdaman or wala lang?
Wala lang kasi parang in-announce siya nung sinabing magto-2-week ceasefire.
Yeah.
Biglang nagagirahan sila ulit ngayon doon. So I think the key word is uncertainty. So it is uncertainty that kicks the price of oil very high, no? And it really takes a while for uncertainty to go down. Kaya it's really sticky going downwards, no? So unless makumbinsin natin yung lahat ng tao na wala na talaga yung uncertainty in the world, especially in that Middle East conflict, then the price of oil will remain sticky at this very high level.
Oo. So parang madugtong mo lang. So ito yung parang mga tinatawag po ninyong mga economists na rocket feather phenomenon?
Parang gano'n, no? Because of the keyword is profit, no? So because if you leave it to because according to our oil deregulation law, no, so you leave it to the market, the free market, to the private players to set their prices. And so if you leave it to them to set their prices, which is the most efficient thing to do, then they will protect their profit going up, no? So and then they will try to outdo each other in terms of earning from whatever inventory strategies that they have done in the past. So kung nagkataon na maswerte ka na marami kang na-imbak na oil, then tumatabo ka ng pera. So pero pagka pababa yun, of course everybody's will try to prolong that as long as possible. Kaya parang yun nga yung feather na parang dahan-dahan lang siya.
Dahan-dahan lang.
Mababa.
Pero pagtataas rocket, ang bilis.
Pero Prof,
mahirap mo namang ipunin ang losses eh. Mas madaling
Totoo yan.
mag-ipon ng profit. So kapag ka
Mas masarap
tumataas
mag-ipon ng
yung
profit.
presyo, oo, isa-save mo lang lahat ng mga profit mo in the rainy days. But you don't actually you don't accumulate losses and natutuwa kang mag-accumulate at mag-save ng mga losses. Wala
Of
pong
course.
ganon. So kaya they will try to maintain that price as long as possible.
Prof, looking at the situation now and also looking at the possibilities moving forward, taking a look at yung structure ng Philippines in terms of how we deal with oil, parang we have a recipe, a recipe for disaster. Parang moving forward, I don't see oil prices coming down to its old self. Kasi number one, we import oil only. We don't produce our own oil. Number two, the peso is weakened against the dollar. Number three, may gera. So may recipe tayo na hindi possible na bumaba sa dati ang price. Is that something you agree with?
Well, tama ka dun sa recipe in terms of the oil prices staying very high. But I don't think it will be a recipe for the disaster for our economy. No? So, medyo ilang linggo pa lamang ito and this will affect the transport. It is just affecting the transport sector. Hindi pa to talaga fully reflected in food prices, no? So kapag ka talagang tumagal ito ng 2 to 3 months, no? So we are on our 1.5 month, no? Kapag tumagal to 3 to 6 months, then that's the time medyo kinakabahan na yung GDP numbers going to zero. But remember, as I always told my friends, no? So we are experiencing this oil crisis in the middle of infrastructure crisis.
That's
no?
right, that's right.
So what we want to happen is the infrastructure disbursements, payments, procurement for all the government infrastructure projects would actually compensate this kind of increase in our prices. So at least kung mataas yung presyo ng bilihin, sana magka-income yung mga tao. And pinakamalaking bulk niyan is the construction workers that is actually now pinagtutulungan ng government and private construction. So kapag yan hindi pa sumalo, dalawa na nangyari, oil crisis and infrastructure crisis. Definitely, we are on our way to a significantly lower GDP by the end of the year.
And I think yesterday, no, Prof, we were talking to Professor Carlos, no, Clarita Carlos, and ang hindi rin na-take into account as of now ng gobyerno is the crisis also. Well, you mentioned infrastructure, you mentioned oil. A third crisis could be yung OFW mass repatriation crisis. Now, if you have 60 to 70% of the OFWs coming home, that's also 60 to 70% of remittances na hindi napapasok, which is we're very reliant also on remittances.
Yes, kung mangyari talaga 'yon, no? So hopefully hindi mangyari, no? So my two sisters are in Dubai, no? So it is actually being handled very well, no? So lahat from home, diretsong sweldo. So I think very minimal yung mga taong gustong umuwi, no, from Dubai. No? So pero syempre kapag ka talagang pagka mga power plants na yung bobombahin ng US, medyo ibang usapan na siguro yun. Medyo parang talagang seryoso na yung laban, war crimes na po yung pinag-uusapan natin. And so therefore, we do not discount that fact na medyo dahil we are shielded from this particular oil crisis because of our dollar reserves. And that dollar reserves is actually driven by OFW remittances. So yung cushion natin na yun, pag nawala, medyo may alanganin tayo next.
Oo. Well, sinabihan na po tayo, 'di ba, ng DOE na mukha talagang matagal pa tong crisis na to, even if it mag-stop talaga yung war na yon, because ang daming mga infrastructure na mga nadali, nasira, they have to rebuild, etc. But I was wondering kung tama po ba yung sinasabi ng iba na mas maigi na daw po mag-expand yung mga transport and agriculture subsidies to prevent yung deeper slowdown ng inflation natin kesa mag-suspend tayo or mag-reduce tayo ng mga excise tax?
Ako, bakit tayo mamimili? Emergency na tayo ngayon, eh, no? This is emergency for the lower part of our population, yung lower income part, no? So hindi naman emergency yung buong Pilipinas. Ang emergency kasi yung mga nandito, yung lower middle class, tsaka yung lower income, tsaka yung poor. So hindi na natin kailangan mamili at this point, no? Tumagal na yung decision natin on how to rescue lower income families, jeepney drivers,
Fisher
truckers,
folks.
bus, ano. So I think we don't need to choose. We have to institute all of them.
Correct, I agree.
Yeah, makes sense.
Makes
Oo.
sense. So, very, quickly lang, very dangerous kasi, Prof, kung middle class ang mahirapan dito kasi tayo ang major taxpayers eh.
Yes, kasi ang tinitingnan nila yung nanghihinayang sila sa excise tax saka sa VAT on oil. But remember, ang marami pang ibang koleksyon, no? Marami pang ibang koleksyon ng income taxes saka VAT, no? So, ang tinitingnan mo diyan yung middle class kasi in-exempt mo na yung 250,000 a year pababa, di ba? So wala namang income tax yun. Pero ang bulk ng income tax mo, middle income earners pataas, no? So, and you want them to stay alive, no? So, and therefore, I think, no, at this point, no, so I think parang dapat itrato natin to na quote and quote na pandemic response kasi kailangan mong i-rescue yung Filipino families. I think at this point there's no point calculating sino yung makakatanggap, sino yung hindi, because the entire economy
Blanket
is
response na ba?
76% of our economy. The whole Filipino families is 76% of our economy.
Yeah.
So distribute the cash to make sure that our economy is still running by
Right.
the time this thing ends.
Tama. Well, sabi nga nila, nawala nga mas maraming amount of pesos during the corruption eh. Yung flood control corruption eh. Dito pa sila nang
Definitely.
hinayang.
Yan yung sinasabi ko. Hindi nga pa nga nila nagagastos yung 2025 na infrastructure budget. Hindi pa nila nagagastos yung 2026 na infra budget. Anong pinanghihinayangan nila sa excise tax sa VAT? And yung napirmahan na special power only talks about temporary power on the excise tax, not on the VAT. Yung VAT, ano yan, automatic tumataas habang tumataas yung price ng oil, tumataas din yung VAT mo eh. So talagang habang naghihirap yung mga Pilipino, payaman ng payaman yung koleksyon ng ating gobyerno. Tama ba yun? Di ba?
Great conversations as
As
always,
always.
but unfortunately we don't have much time. Thank you so much, Professor Ronilio Balberan, economist at the University of Asia and the Pacific.
Ayun.
Thank you.
Yan, si Prof yan, madalas kalmado yan eh. Parang
Ngayon, medyo minute.
Hindi, sa totoo lang, tama kasi si Prof doon na the middle class is the bearer of an economy, of a strong economy. The US, when they transitioned from Joe Biden, the reason why Trump went into office because Trump campaigned and hit the middle class.
Yeah.
And the middle class ang nag-suffer kasi sa economic downturn ng US. So, huwag nilang hahayaan yung middle class na mahirapan. Pwede mag-collapse ang isang economy. All right, don't go away because we're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching News and Views here on One News. The healthcare sector is now feeling the impact of rising fuel costs with pharmaceutical companies absorbing higher import and logistics expenses. Industry groups say there will be no price increases until the end of June, but some imported medicines may see adjustments in the coming months. For now, prices and supplies remain stable as authorities continue close monitoring.
So far, wala pa kaming ginagawang estimation kasi nga it heavily relies on that supply. Kasi bago naman magtaas, kahit hindi crisis situation, merong analysis na ginagawa or rational for increasing drug prices. Hindi ka lang basta kinabukasan mag-i-increase ka ng presyo kasi nga may impact.
With us now is Dr. Diana Edrolin, President of the Pharmaceutical and Healthcare Association of the Philippines. Good morning, Doc, and thank you for joining us today. Tayo ulit, Doc.
Ay, good morning ulit. Good morning, Angela. It's our second good morning for today and also
for
good morning.
today.
to
Kausap ko
Diego.
kasi siya kanina sa Good Morning
Yeah.
Kapatid. But of course, Mama, what is the current situation of medicine supply in the Philippines today? Syempre, yan po yung gusto natin malaman because marami tayong mga nangangailangan din po ng medicine.
That's correct. So the current supply of the medicines in our country is very much stable. In fact, our member companies from the Pharmaceutical and Healthcare Association of the Philippines can confirm, at least yung member companies namin, no, until about 2 to 3 months buffer. But of course, as we have mentioned, the full extent of the crisis in the Middle East with regards to the supply, primarily impacted by the logistics. That's where we have become very vulnerable, di ba? Kasi now we have to avoid that route, primarily for the medicines that are imported mainly from Europe. And of course, the other thing that's impacting it is also the increase in the jet fuel prices. So shipping costs have increased, and there are, of course, delays that have been encountered, but they were very well mitigated. So again, supply remains stable, but we need to closely monitor and we need to take action now to anticipate, again, other impacts of the Middle East Middle East crisis with regards to the price, primarily on the shipping costs and also the delivery timelines.
How about yung uncertainty issue? Because we were speaking to an economist a while ago, and yung uncertainty with regards to the resolution sa Iran-US crisis could, in the long term, a few months down the line, could impact a lot of things, but one of them, medicine supplies. Do we see this a shift in prices anytime soon in case na hindi ma-resolve tong issue sa Middle East?
Yeah, definitely, Diego. That's the reason why we have provided, the PHAP has provided its recommendations with the Department of Health, Department of Trade and Industry, and also the Department of Finance to actually discuss what are the longer term sustainable solutions to mitigate the risks in the price increase. Because right now, all of these increase in the shipping cost, which is about 30%, and also the increase in the logistics costs, which are actually already being also absorbed locally dahil nag-increase yung fuel prices natin dito sa ating bansa, are currently absorbed by the member companies of PHAP. However, sabi nga natin, hindi siya sustainable because eventually it has to be passed on to the consumers or to the patients. So kailangan nating mag-usap ngayon, ano ba yung mga iba't ibang paraan, what are the different ways that we can address it para two things, no, ang important ma-secure yung supply, at ang importante din ay ma-secure natin yung at least stability sa price to the best that we can.
Well, what actions are we looking at so that, or to make sure that supplies are intact, or kumbaga ma-meet yung supply demand natin after 2 to 3 months of buffer stock that you have just mentioned earlier?
Yes, the first, that's a great question, Angela. So the first thing that we need to do is to determine ano ba yung life-saving medicines na kailangan natin for our country that is aligned, again, with the DOH priority disease areas. So, and we also have to understand which ones that are heavily reliant on importation, because we do have local manufacturing, and I'm confident that the local manufacturers are also doing their best to ensure that they will be able to provide and meet the needs that we have for the supply of the medicines. However, there are some drugs, for example, yung mga insulin, yung mga bakuna, we call them the biologics, the drugs that we use for cancer, na hindi pa natin na ma-manufacture dito. And usually these are the drugs that will take about 12 to 24 months to manufacture because it uses a different technology in comparison perhaps to the synthetic drugs, or that's what we see in powder, tablet, and capsules. So yun ang kailangan muna natin gawin. We need to identify for which drugs and disease areas that we need to really have the essential medicines and life-saving medicines na kailangan i-prioritize, kailangan ma-secure yung supply. Second part is now to identify how much do we need for the rest of the year. So as mentioned, we need to go beyond the 2 to 3 months buffer. We need to at least secure 6 months buffer. Again, in case na magkaroon ulit ng sigalot sa Middle East, 'di ba? Na mag-resume yung kanilang geopolitical crisis there. So we need to ensure that we have 6 months buffer, and actually the best would be to secure the supply until the end of 2026. So once we have done that, one of the recommendations we have given is actually to utilize the pool procurement, because there is power in the volume, right? If the government will also use its power in terms of, numbers, kasi meron din tayong global supply queue na tinatawag. The prioritized countries, let's say Vietnam, Thailand, or Singapore, meron po kasi silang mga pool procurement and even multi-year agreement. So doon nasa-stabilize yung volume and yung price. And of course, yung manufacturing costs na nare-reduce din. So yun yung ilan sa aming mga recommendations na we we have already shared, and we know and we're confident that the DOH is already studying.
As of today, Doc, saan ba yung bulk ng imports natin ang gagaling?
So, iba't iba naman siya, Diego, no? So, meron tayo sa Europe, sa US, sa China, Japan, and India.
But how much of our medicines are reliant to importation, Doc? And are we also looking at, strengthening our local manufacturing here in the Philippines?
So, a significant amount of our life-saving medicines or essential medicines are also done through importation. Pero meron tayong local manufacturing naman. And right now, I'm sure the government is really encouraging na talagang dun sa ating PEZA zones na mag-increase ang local manufacturing natin. So there are already discussions around that. But again, from the perspective of PHAP, we need to also be very strategic because building manufacturing sites, number one, of course, it takes a lot of investments. So definitely you need fiscal incentives to make it happen. And kailangan mo rin ng volumes, no? Like for example, in big countries like India, they have the volume for procurement. Kasi hindi lang yan manufacturing. You have to ensure na yung manufacture na drugs, merong pinupuntahan yun. Ibig sabihin may procurement, not only within the country, syempre maganda within the Philippines, but also to the neighboring countries.
All right.
Thank you for your time, Dr. Diana Edralin, President of the Pharmaceutical and Healthcare Association of the Philippines.
Thank you.
Maraming salamat din po.
In other news, Vice President Sara Duterte urged the public to demand clear answers from President Bongbong Marcos on the government's response to the impact of the Middle East crisis and rising fuel prices. Here's the report.
Good luck sa kanya.
This was Vice President Sara Duterte's brief statement when asked about the rumors surrounding President Bongbong Marcos's health during an ambush interview after she led the 84th Day of Valor commemoration in Davao City on Thursday. The Vice President paid tribute to the bravery and sacrifices of Filipino soldiers. However, she could not help but express disappointment over the current state of the military.
Sadly, the state of the nation has failed the Filipino soldier. Kung nakikita nyo, there is an absence of an independent foreign policy framework para sa ating bayan. Hindi mo na alam kung kaninong interest ba talaga ang pinoprotektahan ng ating mga kasundaluhan. Pangalawa,
she was also asked about the ongoing oil crisis in the country and whether fuel prices could still go down.
mapapababa siya kung magagawa nila ng paraan yung problema sa supply doon sa Middle East. Or mapapababa siya kung merong ibang supply na hindi dumadaan sa Middle East na papasok sa ating bayan. So hanggang merong bangayan sa Middle East, patuloy ang pagtaas ng presyo ng crudo.
The Vice President also took a swipe at President Marcos regarding the burden of rising fuel prices on Filipinos.
Dapat tanungin natin ang ating Pangulo, no? Ano bang ginagawa niya para tulungan ang mga kababayan natin na tinatamaan o nahihirapan dahil dito sa epekto ng krisis sa Middle East.
On the upcoming 2028 elections, VP Sara reiterated that she is not yet naming her running mate.
Kung ready, kung meron na, dahil sa ngayon wala pa naman ako Vice President na candidate na kasama, kung meron na at ready na siya na magpahayag na siya ay tatakbo bilang Vice President.
She also admitted that some politicians have expressed interest in joining her possible senatorial slate. The Vice President added that she will not name possible allies for now, citing the highly politicized environment and concerns about harassment and legal attacks against those associated with her.
Hindi ko sila papangalanan kasi unang-una, matindi at mainit ang politika ngayon. No? Lahat ng lumalapit, nakadikit, kaibigan ko ay hinaharas, sinadreten, pinafailan ng kaso, inaatake. So hindi ko sila papangalanan. Unang-una dahil dyan. Pangalawa, dahil kaming lahat ay presumptive candidates pa lang. Dahil wala pa namang filing ng candidacy So hindi natin alam kung matutuloy ba talaga yung pagtakbo nila or hindi. Antayin natin sa darating na, at malapit na yon, darating ng period of filing ng candidacy sa susunod na hanggang doon lang, sa susunod na taon.
Ayan, so another week.
Okay.
Another week of surviving crisis, di ba? Ano masasabi mo?
Antabay lang sila dito sa One News, sa iba pang mga balita.
Oo, isipin mo, full tank, 5,000 for most.
Hopefully magkaroon ng oil price rollback next week, pero yun hindi ganun ka
₱2 per
kalaki.
liter, ₱1 per liter. Diyos ko, ay nako. Anyway, thank you for joining us for this whole week, no? And next week, kita-kita tayo. But for now, that wraps up today's episode of News and Views.
Join us again on Monday. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
I'm Angelo Castro III, kapatid, we are One News.
All sides, all the time.